Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We want to welcome you to Plymouth Whitemarsh Fields, the Plymouth Whitemarsh High School here on Germantown Pike. I'm sorry to cough in your ear like that. We have changed venues today because of a storm earlier that caused a cancellation at our regular grass fields, which, despite the fact that it would probably be fine to play there now.
Pretty beautiful day.
Yes, pretty beautiful day. Could not be reversed, of course, because, you know, that was an executive governmental body decision, and the township is way too big to get all that red tape cleared. Joining me again in the booth today is Alex Schregas, and we are here for the final game of the season, hosting the New York Empire, who we found out about an hour ago are in the playoffs due to the fact that Montreal lost with Ottawa. They were hosting Ottawa today and lost. So the game in terms of playoff ramifications is moot. But
I'm not sure if it impacts seeding, because I think since New York lost to D.C. yesterday, D.C. will still pick up that second seed.
That's true.
And New York's locked in at the 3. We were talking about how Philly's only lost one game at home. So if they win, you know, they have a pretty stellar home record that they get to keep. They get to keep up if they can keep it up. Now, this isn't quite the same as our normal Conshohocken home fields, but
yeah, it's a turf field, number one, and of course we have a slight adjustment, which Alex and I took about 20 minutes to figure out before the game. You'll notice the pylons are at the soccer 20-yard line, which means that for the purposes of this field, we have 70 yards between the goal lines instead of the usual 80, and we have 15-yard end zones instead of the usual 20. So because the players felt that a white line, even though it doesn't go all the way across the field, would be easier to see for the goal line than having it up at the yellow hash mark, which is only 3 yards in front of the yellow line. That would just be easier to see. So everybody's agreed to go 15-yard end zones. And this gets to one of the old ultimate rules where anything the captains agree on goes. Actually, it might be no, I guess it can't be 20-yard end zones because then it would only be 60 between the goal lines.
Yeah, we're back to for everybody that says that the professional ultimate doesn't have the same pickup feel of club ultimate, we're back to trying to jam a field into whatever field space is available.
And so we have Harper Garvey in the middle of the field for the Empire with the disc, throwing over there to Ben Katz, who throws up to Ben Yacht, and he has popped it up to the middle of the field to Jabron Miser, who air bounces it and just over Igor Smola to Jeff Babbitt, who pulls that in right at the 2.
Babbitt to Yacht.
Ben Yacht, so that's something I'm sure we're going to see a lot of today.
Yeah, you really felt the shorter field there. As they, it didn't seem like they were, you know, picking up any big chunks of yardage, but they got it really quickly.
Yeah, it took very little time. Clearly New York got lucky on that. I don't think he meant to air bounce it quite that high, and it just went over Igor's head. Trey has been really tickled to death with Igor's defensive play, and he expects more of that today. And, you know, despite the fact that the game is not going to impact standings, the Phoenix would like to remain undefeated at home.
Well, they lost to Toronto.
Aside from the Rush game, right. They had one loss this season. Outside that game, they tied D.C. here. And Trey was also quick to remind me that the Phoenix's record against Montreal is a big part of the reason New York is in the playoffs, because the Phoenix beat them all 3 games this year for the first time. And here we have Damiano with the disc at midfield or thereabouts with Marquez Brownlee on him, Trey Katzenbach, with the disc being marked by Matthew Lamar.
Drop by Arcata.
Ooh.
Just a drop.
flat-out drop, a little turnover for Mike, not the way he wanted to start. And the disc is going up to T.J. Stanton, but it's D'd up by
Meta.
Himalaya Meta gets good position there. Swings over to Trey Katzenbach. And up to Damiano, over to Sean Mott, back to Dustin.
Someone go deep there for him. Maybe to run that action.
I think they're going to try and sound this wind out a little bit. It's coming from our right to the left, as it often is, even in the stadium we usually play at. So I think they're going to get a little feel for it. This is a nice turf field in that it's soft. I think we have a catch and then contact there. Frank Wang is calling the foul on himself.
Yeah, bumped it out on Strauss there.
He's admitting it right up front and knows that was his fault. Greg Strauss taking the disc up. And as usual, we are joined here under the tent by our 302 Sports compadres. That was very nice. Greg Strauss to Himalaya Meta. Nick Halliday and Pat Gariantes and Len Evans. And, of course, Len is doing the camera right here near the tent and standing kind of in front of us. So occasionally we're going to ask him to dodge left or right. You may hear that. While Pat is manning the PC and Nick Halliday is up on the other camera. We have to give big props to 302 Sports for this season. It's been another great season with these guys. A hell of a lot of fun.
Stellar filming.
Really just doing a terrific job. You'll see that our replays, despite the fact that we don't have one of these fancy, expensive cameras to get close-in zoom shots, we still have a pretty good replay thing, and the highlight reels are still pretty nice at theaudl.com. It was also fun as the Empire pick up the disc, number 28, Ben Katz, over to Harper Garvey. I got a chance to spend some time with some of the Empire players who also play for Pony, New York's great club team, as I watched my son Isaac with Ben Yacht up to the Cat in the middle there, Matthew Stevens.
Jabron Miser in the middle of the field now with the disc.
Yeah, and they're just working it way too easily for our liking here.
They went
to Babbitt.
Yeah, Babbitt to Yacht for their first goal, and now it's Yacht to Babbitt for their second.
Right.
Philly's forcing middle. You can hear Trey Katzenbach just screaming home away whenever the disc moves to one sideline or the other. So they're trying to keep the disc in the middle of the field, not let players like Yacht and, even to a lesser extent Jabron, but Babbitt use their height to their advantage and get these hucks, especially on this short field. I think that's why they're forcing middle like that. But if New York keeps walking through, they might change that to a tighter person defense.
They may, and the Phoenix are without Vince Radams today, who is a big part of their long game. We do have James Pollard, and a couple other guys who are not small on the Phoenix, but we don't have anybody 6'5" or 6'6" today.
No,
for the Phoenix, and to the extent that starts to become an issue, I'm sure we'll see Trey make an adjustment. And there we have Ethan Fortin with the disc over to Sean Mott, up to Himalaya. A nice little outside easy flick to Greg Strauss, who pops it back to Sean Mott. And he's tempted by that lefty flick, but instead goes backhand across to Dustin Damiano.
Oh, great around flick.
To Himalaya Meta, who makes a wide open cut. And an easy shot to Mike Arcata, who catches this one. And he's double-teamed immediately, but gets an easy flick back to Trey for the dump. Right back up to Sean. It was interesting to see the cast of characters out at the Colorado Cup this past weekend, because 4 of the best O players for the Phoenix were there, including Ethan Peck, Himalaya Meta. There we go, Dustin Damiano to the GM, Mike Arcata, to tie the score at 2s. We do have no working scoreboard today, so we will try to keep you abreast of the score, and unfortunately we cannot do much about the clock. as that is being kept on the other side of the field by a 5th ref, Steve Leinert, who also has the horn.
And brother of Mike Arcata, James Arcata, over there helping him out. Extra set of eyes.
Right up on the booth.
It's nice to be the GM's brother.
Yeah. Well, it's nice as the GM to have a brother who's willing to help out, too, with the logistical aspects of the team. And you got to say big props to Mike Arcata for wrangling a backup field with about 3 hours today. Game time was to be at 2, but instead it's 5:30. We've started. And again, in the middle, big huck. Yeah. And that's a nice catch by Babbitt with an easy shot to Yacht that I'm going to give Babbitt that turnover. We're going to give Babbitt that turn because he just plain threw it in the ground in front of Ben Yacht.
I mean, they were going to go for the hat trick, the three of them, just Yacht and Babbitt throwing it to each other.
Yeah, it's true. And
couldn't do it.
Harper, as usual, is starting in the middle of that O-line for the Empire.
Yeah, Smola slipped on the
Oh, Nick Patel, just as he was getting his hands on that, Jeff Babbitt gets the D and knocks it down. Harper Garvey with the disc on the sideline at about the 20 with Nick Patel guarding him, trying to stop the around, and he puts it up in the air, but it's caught. Pretty easily, and then thrown low.
Throw it to him, yeah.
Thrown low by
tough throw.
Jose Oloro, and then intercepted. Oloro gets it back on an overthrow. Who overthrew that? I missed it.
That would have been, I think that was Smola that overthrew it.
Igor.
Passer went deep.
Yeah.
And Igor picked up the disc.
And Harper in the middle. Harper spent the entire Colorado Cup wearing a piece of blue headgear that covered his neck and his face.
No.
A big loop gets D'd up.
Big D there by Esser. Esser poached him. He was standing in the middle of the field letting his man go break sign. He hustled all the way over there for the D. That was a nice one.
Yep. Matt is huge in that department. Coming out of nowhere. And he launches it. Just pops it upfield a little bit. And here is a bomb.
Good put,
Caught
Esser.
for the goal by Matt Esser to Greg Martin, yes?
That's a break, yeah. Disc to Martin. Man, Esser got the D, picked up the disc, threw it, made an upline cut to get it, and then hucked it deep for Martin.
So we have a 3-2 Phoenix lead.
Here we go.
Two for them, right? Yeah.
The Phoenix it looks like they're handling the wind a little bit better than New York is. There's a couple of throws that New York has missed an opportunity on.
Yeah, and I think as I'm feeling that wind, it's really actually coming almost across the field at us.
Yeah, blowing right in our face.
As the Phoenix go to the left here, they will be watching it from the right sideline. And, of course, that means any of your right-handed backhands and even your flicks, you got to be careful the attitude of the disc, where that edge is. And that looks like Ethan Fortin, I think, who just popped that deep. He got that right side up a little bit so it would carry some, and it worked nicely. Garvey in the middle, being marked by number 15, Jordan Chicaron. And there we go, Marquez Brownlee with a flick that's trailing a little for Gibran, and D'd up by 69, Nick Nugent.
Yeah.
Nicknamed Nugget, who is
great D by Nugent.
Playing this game, only his second or third game of the year. Ethan Fortin looking for an outlet. And Chicaron can't quite handle that. It had some mustard on it, no doubt, but it was a
little behind also.
A little behind, and Mike Drost is out there. His brother Ryan on the roster, but not playing today because he's sick. Also not playing is Bo Kittredge for the Empire, who restrained his calf last night apparently in D.C.
Yeah, a little bit of fashion faux pas, though. He did wear the same thing to the game that GM Mike Arcata wore. The same salmon shirt, blue technical shorts, long socks, and cleats.
A great layout attempt there on a flick from Marquez Brownlee to Auletta, rather.
That's the SUV, Dmitry Suvorov.
Yeah, Dmitry Suvorov, really a nice layout attempt. So Auletta catches that. And that was, Auletta catches it, and that was thrown by Brownlee, Marquez Brownlee, for the assist to tie the game at 3s. And without the scoreboard or the clock, you may hear us do some little extracurricular chatting. Please bear with us. We're just trying to make do with an ad hoc situation.
It definitely changes it that no one knows what the time is.
Right.
I'm sure the players are, as this quarter wears on, will get a little more anxious towards the end, trying to figure out how much time they have left.
And this pull is a backhand with the windward side down, so it goes a little short for Dustin Damiano to pick it up at about the 20-yard line. Sean Mott looking downfield but thinking better of it because nobody really cut deep. Trey over to Dustin Damiano, over to Mike Arcata. And Himalaya Meta, I'm not really sure how he got that because number 8 for the Empire, TJ Stanton, really got ahead of the disc. He should have knocked it down. If he had played he might have caught it.
Stanton tipped it, but
he did, but he caught it anyway.
Yeah, Meta
Arcata to Damiano, back up to Himalaya Meta, and Sean Mott asking for it on the near sideline and getting it, and right back to Himalaya for the goal. Very nice. So Sean Mott to Himalaya Meta for that one. Sean's first stat of the game, Meta's second goal. And now we have a 4-3 Phoenix lead.
The GM's got to pick up his play a little bit. He had that drop on the first point, and he almost threw it away there. He needs to
Well, he's probably been a little distracted with all the logistical issues today.
Yeah.
You know?
He just spent the last few hours on the phone.
Right. Getting all this worked out. And, of course, he actually was over at AA Garthwaite Stadium, our beloved grass field, talking with the stadium manager about the fact that they could play it there.
Yeah, he was probably pointing at the blue sky saying, this is what's canceling the game.
I mean, they went and looked at the field. There was no standing water. You know, the field was a little spongy, but certainly not sloppy in the least. But that's, oh well. No sense crying over spilt milk. Greg Martin with a beautiful pull.
Yeah.
And he again put that windward side edge up. Harper Garvey taking the disc at about the 15, and he hucks it deep.
Get it,
Cat
Esser.
Stevens.
Get it, Esser.
Matthew Cat Stevens. Esser almost with another D. Stevens with a little bit of a gentleman's walk there, but not too bad. Benyat back to Stevens for the goal. Benyat another assist, and Stevens with his first point of the game to make it 4-all. And the Empire do not look like they're slacking this game. I think they are enjoying the workout too. And, they've got to go to D.C. next weekend, so they want to stay in shape and keep playing well.
Yeah, after getting torched by D.C. last night, which, that game, or I guess yesterday, but that game was for seeding, right? It mattered a lot. The winner of that game got that first home playoff game, and going down to D.C. and having D.C. give it to them like they did, probably they want some revenge after that.
Yeah, well, we were having a little chat with the general manager of the Empire, or should I say director of operations, Ellie Ouellette, who is one of my favorite people in the AUDL, and a great friend to both of my younger sons when they played there. Even though Isaac played very briefly, Noah played a whole season. Ellie is the boss there, but she just said that somehow their forgot to play offense, and then they started sending in the D-line. Mike Arcata with a nice track down of Ethan Fortin's slight overthrow. Swiped it away from the Empire player, right up to Trey Katzenbach there, and over to Himalaya, who's thinking about that backhand and thinks better of it. Back to the GM. Back over to Ethan Fortin. Almost walks and slows himself down. Sean Mott with a nice little dumpy backhand over to Mike Arcata. And Himalaya Meta back to Sean Mott, who was being guarded by Mike Drost. And
nice.
A great catch by Ethan Fortin.
Right on his fingertips.
Yep. Some nice catches by the Phoenix here on this point. Arcata having to dig again, and he will not get that one.
Too far.
But that is Sean Mott's turnover because he just a little too long.
Just too far. He was throwing it into the wind. He probably put a little more on it than he thought maybe he needed to.
And there's Matthew Lamar reining it in on the other side for the Empire. And looking for Noriaki To, who throws it in to number 16, Mike Drost. So Noriaki To with the goal to the assist to Mike Drost's goal. And the Empire have busted back to take a 5-4 lead.
Yeah, they put it back on serve. That was what killed Philly in that game in New York last week, was that every time the Philly offense turned it over, the defense for New York was able to march it down the field.
Right, and that's, interestingly, that became a huge issue in Colorado Cup for the Pony team that was there, again, missing probably 4 or 5 of their best players. But, the D could not convert their turns.
Yeah.
And the final game, they actually started doing that very consistently and won the game by 5. So, unfortunately, at that point, it was a consolation game. We have Marquez with a big backhand pull.
Yeah, Philly switched their lineup. This is Mott in the D-line now.
Disc stays flat but comes right into about the 4. Nick Patel, easy out to Sean Mott, who's in the left flat there. He puts a flick up to Greg Martin, who is thinking end zone but thinks better of it, I think wisely. D was a little close. Sean back across the field a little high for number 3, Brandon Lamberty. And he throws a nice shot upfield to Esser, was that?
There we go, yeah.
Esser to Greg Martin.
Esser to Martin.
So that's a second assist for Matt Esser and a second goal for Greg Martin. That would be a nice combination to see get going.
They didn't stop moving once. That was beautiful offense by the Philly D-line there. They really...
I seem to have... Interestingly, 5 and 5.
Yeah,
okay, I thought I had 6 assists here. I was wondering where the heck I missed the score. It's going to be driving us nuts. But I do have the right number of hash marks below. We keep score sheets for each team and mark them by player so we have a running total. We don't feel like we have to be typically too hard on that, but today it's really important that we are, because our little hash marks on the lower part of the sheet by individual stats have to match the score up top. And right now we're 5-all late in the first quarter. And Harper Garvey holding the disc again at midfield with Matt Esser on him. Little flick to Gibran over there. Back over here to Ben Katz. Ben Yacht and Ben Katz. Ooh. And that's 6, Joshua Loro. And he pops it deep, going for Babbitt, who gets that over Igor Smola. And that's not too surprising. Babbitt has a couple inches on him, but also, the width of a Mack truck, so he can really box guys out in the end zone.
Yeah, Philly was poaching the lane there, so that was the look that they were trying to force, but they couldn't quite.
So we have the catch was
Babbitt
and
Aloro.
Throw was Aloro.
Yeah,
Joshua Aloro threw that in for him. Josu, I hope that's not Yosu. I should check the pronunciation of that for him, but
I'll stick with Aloro.
Yeah. Number 6, Mr. Aloro with a nice goal. But that was one of those things. You know who your target is, so just put it up.
But he put it in front. So
it's true. It's true. He put it in front and up high a little bit. So.
Yeah. And Babbitt could use his body there.
Right.
It doesn't help to be wide if the disc hangs forever. And
no, absolutely. But the combination of width and height is really critical in Babbitt's game. He's so experienced and so good at using both of those edges on most of these guys.
New York got caught face guarding there on the dump, so Trey could just float it right over them. They never saw the disc.
Yeah. Sean Mott working with Ethan Fortin. Just shy of midfield, about 10 yards. Oh, almost got hand blocked there, but fakes the other way and comes back to Dustin Damiano, who's up to the GM Arcata, who puts a big flick out to the corner that breaks back for Himalaya Meta, who drops it. Did he or no?
Yeah, Meta dropped it.
He did drop it and then caught it on the rebound. But, yeah, we're going to have to give Himalaya the turn on that because that was I don't know if Himalaya expected that to come back in either. Well, I sure didn't. It looked like it was fading out.
It's also that angle puts that disc right in the sun, so it's possible that he just couldn't adjust to it in time. Which is, that's a bummer. I mean, the sun's part of the game. You got to
play with it. Absolutely right.
Someone on Philly needs to take away these deep cuts now. They're just getting.
And they got two guys out front for this. He's not in. That is number 4, Matthew Arletta again, who's looking around, looking, and pops it up high. Auletta to 35, Ben Spielman. We have 3 Bens. Huh. Didn't realize that. Ben Yacht, Ben Spielman, and Ben Katz on the Empire. And the Empire now take a 7-5 lead.
24 seconds left in the quarter, so Philly's got to look to possess the disc here. They're putting in I'm sorry. My whole brain kind of went out from me there.
Froze on what? Who they're putting in on?
They're putting in Pollard because they're looking for a jump ball situation, right? It's 24 seconds, so they're going to have to throw one of these buzzer
Mr. Leinert with the bullhorn now. Oh, boy. That's great.
Let's see. Who's there?
That's nice, though. That's now the crowd who's sitting around can find out what the score is. Yeah, we have
it looks like their buzzer beater line is just Pollard over Mike Arcata. Oh, is that Greg Martin there in the end? Yeah, Pollard
and Greg Strauss. I mean, all the big guys are out there for the Phoenix.
Well, Strauss is O-line, but Martin and Pollard are usually D-line. Get switched in
true
here.
enough. True enough. And we have Ethan Fortin and Trey Katzenbach playing a little catch up to Greg Strauss. Of course, that clock didn't start until the throw, but we can't tell where it's going to be. Ethan Fortin puts it deep for Trey.
Get it, Trey. Get it, Trey.
I think he's out. He had stepped out with his right foot.
Oh, it was so close.
He stepped out with his right foot
that's a great
just before the catch.
I don't have quite the line that Spicer had on it, but I thought he was in.
Yeah, no, I saw his foot right near or on the line. I couldn't tell from where I am, but I'm not going to claim that. Lamar pops it in to 61, and Ben Yacht, I don't see how there was that much time.
Grab it.
James Pollard with the interception.
Well, because the disc went out of bounds, right? So it won't start again until the throw. That stops the clock.
Right.
So the Empire.
But the horn sounded so quickly after it went out that I thought that was the end of the quarter. Well, that's not for us to worry about. So the first quarter is in the books. 7-5 Empire. Some kind of offensive infraction that was 10 yards. That means that we're going to take immediately turns it over to Matt Esser, who will. Oh, and we're getting our shade moved a little bit to the sunward, which is very nice because now we're getting a big unimpaired view of up in the sky, so we can see where these discs go. 7-5 is our first quarter score. Empire, yes. We have Papa Damiano coming over to question us just to find out. It is tough for the fans. I wonder if we can – I think maybe I'll start texting Eli to give him the updates.
I think he's been calling the score pretty reasonably. He's the person I heard give the –
Oh, and folks, we're going to break away for a quick couple words from our sponsors. We'll be back to you with the second quarter in just a moment. Matt Esser from Greg Martin.
I believe so.
It sure looked at that's who had the disc when Matt does his upside down, hanging onto the goalpost in celebration. And he puts up a high floaty thing that Scotty Zhu gets in front of. Scotty, with his quickness, took that away.
That was to the break side. That was an incredible play by Scotty to get there.
That really was. What a nice play.
Here to Smola. Nice break action by Esser there.
Right to Greg Martin over there. Scotty's second D of the game.
Get rewarded.
Ooh. And Matt Esser from Greg Martin
I believe so.
It sure looked it. That's who had the disc when Matt does his upside down, hanging onto the goalpost in celebration. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're just a half a minute or so away here from starting the second quarter. Yeah, I was mentioning before how Colorado Cup I saw Ethan Peck, Nick Patel, Himalaya.
That patrol squad.
Yeah, yep, because Patrol was out there, of course. And Sean Mott was not there because, of course, he's playing AMP, I guess, the mixed team. And they will be heading to Worlds as soon as he's done here for the rest of this week.
I think he might not be there.
No, he's not going to Worlds?
I think Mott might not be going to Worlds.
Okay.
I know that's where Eric Nardelli is, another big D-line player for
huge D-line
Phoenix,
player.
Yeah. So
and we have some great friends of the team here, Mark Sands and Sean Dacey and young Zach Sands making their appearance here. A lot of Pennsbury and Mercer guys. I know that Dacey and Sean Dacey and Mark Sands have been helping out with Empire Broadcasts, so we're spreading the love around the region here. It's part of the nature of the sport with so many terrific players and now so many opportunities to play club and pro and summer league. And, Marquez Brownlee plays Mercer Summer League. We have some great New York players and Philly players who come up there.
Yeah, it's pretty unsettling. On Tuesday, I am on Mike Arcada's Summer League team, and we played James Pollard's Summer League team. And Arcada skied Pollard for the last goal.
Oh, funny.
Something.
And there we have Ethan Fortin shooting it to Sean Mott, who takes it very nicely up top. That was a great throw by Ethan because he put it out there for him.
Yeah.
And Sean, though, not much taller than I am, maybe 5'9", 5'10" if he's in lifts. I mean, but really, he plays 6'4". He really does.
He put the Jets on there, too.
He did. He had to scoot a little, but you notice it wasn't any problem for him to get there.
No, not at all. But he plays like he's 6'4" in height, but he plays like he's 5'7" in
quickness and cutting. Yeah, and that's a lethal combination in this game.
Well, that's what makes him, one of these all-star players.
Yep. So now on D, we have the usual suspects. Nick Patel, Nick DiGiorgio is out there, and Greg Martin about to get ready with the pull. Matt Esser next to him. Greg Strauss, or is that Igor? It looks like
Igor Smola and Brian Lamberty are the last two there.
Yeah, Brandon Lamberty, right. And as usual, Harper Garvey with the disc up here, popping it up to Josua Loro, who pops it over to the right to Gibran. And you got Babbitt jogging through the middle, which is kind of like having a semi going through the middle there. Greg Strauss, Igor playing off him a little bit, and that's just picked off by Greg Martin.
Great D, Greg.
Yep. Greg playing O on that shot, which he should be. Brandon Lamberty holding the disc, pops it over to Colin Massino, up to Igor Smola, who is, gets a nice one right to Nick Patel there on the sideline just before he goes out. Nick trying to just figure out what he's got. A little swing to 45, and we have a call here.
Called, I believe. Is there a call on the sideline? Oh, the timeout was called while Patel had the disc.
I see, yeah, probably because they thought he was getting high in the stall count.
Well, he definitely was.
We got to give Greg Martin that big D.
I mean, Philly's, I think that was Massino, actually, that had the D. I think we.
Oh, was it?
I believe so, because it was, maybe it was Martin. No.
I thought it was Martin.
All right, Martin it is.
Yeah.
We'll give it to Martin. That was a great mark. They switched. They were forcing middle in the first quarter. They switched. Now they were doing a hard away force, right? They're forcing that backhand side towards us.
Right.
And again, I miss the nice seats in the stadium field, but we're so close to the action here that we can hear Trey Katzenbach shouting what to do on the mark, and there he was shouting, no around, no around, no around. And the mark really took away a lot of options there.
I'm putting one of my earphones on half ear so I can hear that better. because I like, of course, hearing what you're saying, Alex, so as not to interrupt you or redundicize any points you make, but also just, keep us in our own little bubble here. Trey is pointing to the disc. And
it's kind of you. Here they go. They got their O-line running their end zone set. 3 in the back, 2 on the near sideline.
Dan Spicer, the near side ref, just popped that extra disc off of the sideline a little bit so it's not confusing. And, of course, Sean is double-teamed.
Yeah, they're doubling. They're not guarding the
with Marquez Brownlee being one of them. And, of course, that kind of length, a nice lofty scuba up to Himalaya Meta, who is now a little double-teamed and face-guarded. Back to Sean, who's got Arcata for the dump. And Trey Katzenbach, a little further swing to midfield. Back to Arcata, a little further across, back to Trey. And this is, Trey with a big floaty hammer scuba that goes to Dustin Damiano. So that's Dustin's first goal and Trey's first assist. In fact, Trey's first point.
And that'll tie it.
Because, of course, he was just a whisker out of bounds on his catch. And I have to say, Trey made some good speed down the field there for a 40-year-old guy or any year-old guy.
For sure.
He was out front on that. It was the right play to do, but the throw was just drifted a little outside, partly a feature of that wind coming into our faces.
So Philly, that point, had 5 guys in the end zone and 2 handlers outside of it, and New York had 4
guys
people covering
outside,
in the end zone and 3 people outside the end zone
with
a double team on the handler. So the reason Mike Arcata was able to just get the disc in the middle there was because New York, once the disc got swung, New York just didn't have the manpower to cover him outside the field. So that was a really risky defensive set by New York, and I'm glad.
And Martin with another nice pull, settling down just in front of the goal line. We have Oloro with the disc up, and it's bobbled by Ben Yacht, who gets the drop. A rare turn by Ben Yacht.
Go Philly.
Nick Patel over to number 3, Brandon Lamberty, who goes back to Igor Smola. Back to Lamberty, and a big loopy flick that's coming across to Nick Patel, who sees a man in the middle, and that is 45, Nick DiGiorgio. Back over to Nick Patel. It is funny. You can hear a lot of people yowling over there. Lamberty with the disc again.
To DiGiorgio.
DiGiorgio with a outside flick to a standing still Igor Smola.
Nice.
Nick DiGiorgio with his first point. And Igor
Philly's defense
with his first catch. And the Phoenix take the lead.
Yeah, I mean, that Philly D-line has played so well this game, just capitalizing off of the pressure that they put on or New York miscues. Look, Yacht dropped it there. That's not a D, but once they got the disc in their hands, they were pretty unstoppable.
And we have the Phoenix taking their second timeout. I believe that was their second. Was it? It was a timeout here, was it not?
This is a Phoenix. I thought this was a New York timeout. Yes, this would be their second timeout, but
yeah, he motioned to the Phoenix. Let's double check with referee Dan Spicer. Spiceman, was that a New York or Philly timeout? New York.
New York timeout.
Yes, you're right, Alex. New York. We're going to stop being so certain here in the broadcast booth and just find out. But yeah, that's good to know. So one each. They each have one left this half.
Yeah, I didn't hear anything there. It was just the way that the game's going. You know, New York kind of gives up their 2-point lead. That would be a win.
Got to get a reset mentally. Yeah, when
that's
you
a
do
Frisbee.
that.
It's a
gave up 3 in a row here, so it's.
And I like that timeout call more than sometimes. I feel like teams will call a timeout when they'll get frustrated and they'll be frustrated about what's going on, and they'll call a timeout, and the team will go into the huddle.
So the coach can yell at them.
Right. But here, hopefully in the pros they don't do that.
Yeah.
I think this is just to calm the team down and
and get a little mental reset. You know, everybody.
And it's tough. I feel like once New York starts to lose focus in this game, it's going to be really hard for them to get back into it because they don't need this game.
That's true.
So,
but as with any really good team and good group of athletes, they want the work. They've got a game in D.C. next week where they got torched last night. But I think Ellie knows, as anybody who knows their team well, that these are one-off kind of things. This is not their typical style of play. They had a bad game. It happens. But you could see her frustration just watching it in the retelling to us before the game. But, as we expected this game to be close, regardless of what the standings were.
Yeah. Well, I think that first game that Philly played in New York was a bit of an anomaly where New York blew them out. And that second game where it was close the whole way and New York pulled ahead, that was kind of what we came to expect from this Philly squad during the season. And
frankly, what happened to New York in D.C. last night was very similar to what happened to Phoenix in New York in that game, because Philly led in the third quarter, but then every turnover they made, New York cashed in the fourth and won by 3 or 4, after Philly had led going into the fourth.
Yeah, Philly led in the fourth, too. I think they were up 2 or 3 in that fourth quarter.
And Harper Garvey again with Josu Aloro in the middle. We had a horn there that...
Miscellaneous horn.
Yeah, we're going to have to find the source of that and get them to stop. Oh, that's a nice catch. Gibran picks it up off the turf. If anybody sees who blew that horn, please let us know who they are, because we're going to get them to shut that down. That's really not something we can have here during the game.
We'll send you out after them, really.
You got it. I will confiscate that damn thing. Harper Garvey back in the middle. Up to Josu Aloro.
Yacht on the sideline.
Ben Yacht on the sideline.
Back to Aloro. Babbitt in the middle of the field gets a disc.
And 28 is Ben Katz, who was out there before anybody else for New York, kind of anxious to get started on this point, I guess.
Well, this is what Philly wants. Keep moving them back. Can't score if they just play around in the middle of the field.
And Josu to Ben Yacht, and Ben Yacht to Jeff Babbitt. Babbitt was jogging, really, basically, to take that in, so you can't say that was exactly a difficult goal.
No, we're just patient enough. 3 assists for Yacht and 3 goals for Babbitt. So, 2 of their all-stars. Are a lot of touches in the end zone right now.
And I, who am the least informed, apparently, of my middle son Noah's exploits at Worlds, have just gotten a text from him telling me they won 2 games yesterday and have another one tomorrow that's going to be streamed. Would have been nice if I had known that yesterday. I might have taken a peek. Holy cats, the boy is my absent-minded professor. The man, I should say. He is no longer a boy at 29, but... damn, that's frustrating. There's just so much Ultimate going on, you don't know where to look next.
Summer's a fun time for
So anybody who wants to see Ring of Fire from Raleigh-Durham area play in Worlds, apparently there is a game streaming at 1 o'clock. And we're going to see if we can get Phoenix owner George Harris to just stand behind us instead of in front there. It's good to see George out here. I know he was instrumental in procuring this field at the last minute as well, which... is a testament to the Phoenix.
Stall called on Mike Arcado.
Oh, that's interesting. James Haggerty, not a little quick, maybe not. I looked a little quick to me, but
it seemed fast. But
we got to give Mike a turn on that stall. And Dan Moraski giving him the proper location there. We have we have a drop by number 18, Peter Kalmakis of the Empire, a last-minute sub. So a turn for Peter, and Sean Mott gets it over to Trey Katzenbach. Pops it up to Dustin Damiano, and Damiano to Himalaya Mehta on the far side. Puts a nice fading bladey flick into Greg Strauss, rather.
There we go.
So that was pretty. Himalaya with a nice goal there. His first assist of the game.
To get it back.
And Greg Strauss's first goal.
Philly's holding the disc too long on offense. It's definitely not what Trey wants. So either they need to
No, I'm sure of that.
They need to look in the backfield a little quicker or figure out what they're doing with their cuts.
Phoenix up 9-8 now.
That was their first saw,
but
it's been close.
Best job I've done scorekeeping all year because it's so critical today. We can't rely on anyone else.
Well, it's nice to know that when the pressure's on, we're
we can get it done. That's right.
Yeah, we haven't missed any.
So forgive us again, ladies and gentlemen, if we repeat things a couple times just for each other's benefit, because Alex is doing New York's score sheet and I'm doing Philly's. But we each want to look at the other sheets too, just to watch the players who are doing what they're doing.
So last time on defense, Pollard ended up guarding Cat Stevens, who was kind of running him ragged there.
Yeah.
It's not really the matchup that I think Philly wants. They probably want him on someone like Yacht. Yeah, here he goes. Now he's on Yacht.
Right, and Harper Garvey lets it rip to Ben Yacht. Pollard trying to find position, but Ben boxes him out very effectively, and he will throw crossfield to guess who?
To Babbitt.
How about that? Shocking.
Man.
Ben Yacht to Babbitt, and one of my favorite Ultimate players. And my favorite veterinarian has just made the scene. Miss Allie St. John, Dr. Allie St. John, wearing her floppy hat in the summer.
Yeah, that was that's exciting for you. Man.
You have fans everywhere up in the shade. It's a lovely setting to watch because there are shade trees here sort of scattered around. We have people with their umbrellas. And there we have the Empire tying the game at 9s. So it's remaining close, despite the fact that nobody needs this. And the pull coming into Dustin Damiano to Captain Katzenbach, Ethan Fortin, with a flick that overthrows the intended receiver and is D'd up by Frank Wang. So that was Sean who turned that over, I guess?
Fortin.
Oh, Fortin, Ethan Fortin. Yeah. Thank you, yeah. New York with a Blady backhand that is caught for the goal.
It's TJ Stanton with the grab from CJ, Joe Owlette.
Yeah. Joe Owlette.
New York will take the lead 10-9. They get it back after that timeout. They've been more aggressive. They're doing a better job than Philly after their timeout call. There was just miscue by Ethan Fortin. You hate to see it, but it'll happen. That was a really crowded spot, too. I mean, you had two Philly players cutting there, and they were double covered. So there were two Philly players and two New York defenders. I mean, even if he puts that throw perfectly, it's a tough throw.
I have a friend saying goodbye to my kneecaps as I'm getting them, well, not my kneecaps, but my knees replaced day after tomorrow. For you Ultimate players who play into your 50s, a word of advice. Don't. No, go ahead. But just be prepared to get stem cells by the time you all need them. I'm hoping it'll be stem cell treatment. Oh, Phoenix, nice. Just gets it back to Fortin there from Brandon Pastor. Oh, and that is caught by Himalaya Meta off the turf from Ethan Fortin. Mike Arcata, right on midfield stripe, looking for something upfield, but comes back to Ethan instead. Sean Mott is cutting back and deep, and I think it's probably wise that the Phoenix are not overusing their hucks today, but I would like to see them get one or two off when they get the chance. Sean in the flat over on the far side. Oh, with a little scooper to Trey Katzenbach. That was a pretty play. Sean with the no-look scooper.
Cheeky. That was beautiful.
That was beautiful. It was perfect positioning. Trey's first goal. And wowie, Kazawi. That's a nice play.
5 minutes, 8 seconds left in the half, so a bunch of points.
And we are also working in tandem with our great PA man, Eli, down here on the speakers doing the music. He has turned the speakers away so it doesn't bleed into our broadcast, but the fans can still move and groove to the jams. that are going on, and there's even we can see in the distance a soccer game that has broken out down on the lower field here.
Yeah.
Big pull from Greg Martin.
You can call that soccer game during halftime.
Might fade, yeah. Didn't go near the sideline, but right at the goal. And who else? Harper Garvey with the second throw from the Phoenix midfield. Oh, and Jose Aloro pulling it out for our old friend Marcus Brownlee.
Oh, Greg.
Marcus Brownlee, who is just, when he has position. Greg Martin's a great defensive player, but Marquez still has 5 inches on him, 4 inches. And, that kind of thing is going to happen occasionally.
Messino there, I missed that call.
Yeah, that was
Messino on the D. It's nice to see Marquez cutting. He's been pretty quiet today. I think he's had a quiet year compared to last year, too. Last year,
he was so big for the Phoenix last year. And, again, these guys all play with and against each other in so many different iterations.
Yeah, and I guess when you have guys like Yacht, Gibran, and Babbitt on the O-line catching deeps, it's a little harder to stand out on the D-line.
Well, and Bo Kittredge, who is hurt today with a restrained calf muscle that he suffered last night. I was saying before the game to Isaac as I was texting him that the big guys were out. You had all the Bs. You had Ben and Brownlee and Bo and of course Babbitt. So 2 last names, 2 first names, but the 4 Bs, they are definitely not the B team out here. They are the A team. They just happen to be Bs.
It's an A team full of Bs.
It sure is. And there goes Mike Arcata throwing deep to Shawnee Mott.
Oh, my God.
If that stays in, it's all Mott. Yes,
Let's
and it does. Very easy.
Ties it at 11. Nice throw by Arcata. And great cut by Mott. There was no one near him.
No, he's basically alone, and in that situation, you throw to him all day. All day. We have George Harris roaming the end zone, seeing the crowd and watching over his team. George has taken a slightly reduced role this year in the ownership. He's gotten some partners, thankfully, to help out, but he is still the man when it comes to getting things done game day and around here. And it's always great and encouraging to see him out. And actually terrific to see the fans, though they be scattered around the field. Everybody apparently got the memo. So people showed up, and the 3-hour delay probably helped us in terms of getting that to happen.
Well, it would be tough to show up to a wet game.
That's true. And Harper Garvey with the disc dumping back to Ben Katz. He pops it upfield to Ben Yacht. And he pops it over, just barely picked up by Matthew the Cat Stevens. And Harper Garvey with a big flick that he just shoots like a and we have a man down, Empire man down. That was not good. That is a turf jam injury right there.
Gibran Miser.
That's Gibran Miser. That is not good. It's either a shoulder or a wrist. I couldn't see for sure. But when you go into the turf like that and you don't slide, it is not a good thing.
Yeah, it's not nearly as forgiving as the grass is.
No.
Which is surprising, but especially today, the grass has been pretty
oddly
pretty
enough,
wet.
And we're definitely going to see him take a point.
I think it was the hip, actually. I think he might have landed on his
elbow
into his hip.
He seems to be holding that left arm. No, maybe not. It looks like he's.
Yeah, he landed on his
very
elbow
awkwardly.
And it drove into his hip there. It was probably his left elbow.
Yeah, I think his arm is not real comfortable. Yeah, he's holding his hip. You're right. And Ethan Fortin here with Nick Patel. Oh, and Nick just turfs it in front of Greg Martin, who turns his frustration to D on Ben Yacht instead of moaning about it. Jose Aloro around the other side over to Benjamin Katz for the goal for the Empire, and they go back up 12-11. So, quick turnaround.
Man, that's rough. I mean,
yeah, that's also, for the Phoenix, a frustrating thing to get a D like that and then turn it in the first 2 throws.
First throw, I think.
Yeah, first throw, right. We have the Empire players, Ben Yat, Harper Garvey, and Matt Stevens going over there to check on Gibran. Matt's actually giving him a little shoulder rub, just trying to find out. I think that had to hurt in a couple different places. That's just ugly when you land on the turf like that.
I don't think it's too bad, though, because they're letting him stay there. I feel like if it was – well, I guess it could be bad.
You could read that the other way, too. He can't freaking walk back to his own side.
But he walked off the field.
Yes, he did.
I think he would have just –
He did, but he was not comfortable, you could tell. No. Nice pull by the Empire up to D. Damiano. Out to Ethan Fortin. Himalaya Meta, back to Fortin, back to Meta, back to Mott
wanted it.
Goes to Huckett, but a New York body is in his way. Trey Katzenbach with a flick to Ethan Fortin. Himalaya Meta is open briefly, but the Phoenix are being smart. The swing over to Arcata. Upfield to Meta, back in the middle there. A quick dump to Ethan Fortin, who was contacted by a New York player there. Or maybe he just tripped on the turf, but I thought he got bumped as he threw. New York pulls it in on the far side. Arcata guarding number 35, Ben Spielman. One of our 3 Bens on the New York team today. And we have Matthew Lamar. Empire working it in the way that the Phoenix would like them to, back into the end zone. But finally get it out. And we have Calmacus
and Nori Toe there. Nori Toe.
Absolutely. A fan is just questioning here whether the Callahan is possible in the pros, and it certainly is. Still one of the great plays to watch.
2 minutes, 29 seconds left. New York calls timeout.
Timeout, so New York's second timeout.
Yeah, they probably now will have the opportunity to sub their O-line on.
Right.
And it looks like Philly's putting their D-line out there, which, that's the right move. It's a good
right, I mean, that's the risk you run, right? Subbing to change your line. The other team gets to do the same thing.
But honestly, I mean, the Philly D-line, Fortin's had a rough game, but the Philly D-line has had such a good, has been so effective. Let them get out there. If they get the D, let them play offense. They've been great.
Yeah. It's a good strategy.
We got Hoffman, the D-line coach, going over what he wants them to do.
MCA. Yep, one of these songs you can't help but sing to. See the occasional fan doing the YMCAs as well. The refs getting back to their positions. The Empire have chosen who they want out, and the Phoenix have tried to match up with them. So we have Smola, Lamberty, Patel, Esser, Colin Massino, Greg Martin, and Nick DiGregorio, I think it is, over there in the middle.
Come on, if you're going to run that, you can't.
Far side, Empire thrower all alone, Matt closing in.
Philly ran a little.
Babbitt with the disc on the far side, trying a little head fake that doesn't do much.
Philly had Matt standing in the lane, but if you're going to do that, you need to.
Ben Yat with the disc in front of Greg Martin. He wants to huck, but Babbitt going deep with Igor Smola on him. Oh, Greg Martin almost got in front of Matthew Stevens there.
It's Massino.
Massino, I'm sorry. Thank you. Yeah, just missed him. Harper Garvey with Nick Patel. He goes with a big hammer to Ben Yat. And Greg Martin contact just before the reception. He will be called for that, and Ben Yat will be given the disc on the goal line.
You couldn't see it. That's pass interference in football, too.
That is, yeah. He looked. The disc came in behind him, and Greg Martin watching Yacht where he went to put his hand up. But as he did that, he crashed into him. And the refs are not going to allow that. So we have
bail out of that throw.
Ben Yacht in the center. And he does an easy backhand for the goal to – who is that? I can't see.
Yacht to Ben Katz.
Ben Katz with the gloves. There we go.
5 assists for Yacht.
Unbelievable.
Another game where Yacht's just taking it to Philly.
And the Phoenix have nobody with more than 2 of anything. We have a couple guys. Sean Mott has 2 goals and 2 assists. But we have nobody with 3 goals or 3 assists. And frankly, I like that. I don't like over-reliance on 1 or 2 guys, and you like to see it spread out, a balanced attack. But it's now 13-11.
Yeah, the game's been back and forth. This is rough. So I think we're under a minute now left to play in the half. Minute 18
so we hear.
Almost just out.
Thank you, Pat Garantes.
So we have, Philly. They're probably 2 points left. So if Philly can score quickly, they can look to get to D. But
nice high pull. That's unfortunately for Empire settling back a little more than they would like. Picked up at about the 20 by Damiano. Mott swings to Arcata in the middle, who puts it over to Meta on the side, back to Damiano on our sideline or close to it. And we have Greg Strauss in the middle for that, back to Sean Mott, who fakes the hammer, does a scoober back to Arcata instead.
Wow, great cut by Mott.
That was nice. He faked him out of his shoes, came back for the disc. Arcata again, and Mott, ooh! Mike Arcata with a nice pull-in over Roosevelt Ward.
Let's go, Mike.
That was a nice play. Mike Arcata with a nicely placed throw.
13-12, 45 seconds
Again,
left.
he knows. And so there we have Sean Mott with our first
We used to play
3 stat in any column with 3 goals.
35 seconds. We used to play street ball around Aramingo in the Fishtown, Port Richmond area, me and Mike. We used to call Mike Frank the Tank. I thought he looked like Frank Kaminsky. And kind of has a little bit of that like turnaround jumper game too.
Yeah.
There he uses Frank the Tank size to box him out.
Yeah. Mike's a little slim to be called a tank, isn't he?
Well, I don't know.
Maybe he was big in your crowd back then when you guys were young.
It's not our crowd. No, this was like a few years ago.
Ooh.
It would be now, but
he
moved. Yeah, when he moved to Philly, he was living in Port Richmond, playing street ball there.
That's funny. Aloro to Harper Garvey, shocking, in the middle of the field for the Empire. Surveying downfield, back to Aloro. 30 seconds. Oh!
That contact call. He hit Yacht with his shoulder
Casey
before
Vaughn,
he got the D, but
Casey Vaughn
that's
wondering
a tough call.
What the problem. I have to give that call to them. I mean, that's a good call by Dan Spicer.
You're right. It was definitely the right call, but I'm still upset by it because it's a great D.
Yeah, but he gave him a little check on the hip, and you can't do that just before the catch.
He definitely hit him with his shoulder.
Oh, Aloro.
Okay.
Benyat, kaboom. Damn, Aloro to Benyat in the end zone to make it 14.
Man, that's rough. After that D,
and
Casey really wanted it there.
Yeah, Casey and Benyat talking, but collegially. I mean, they're not.
Yeah, they're not chirping.
No, they're not chirping. They're not arguing.
Chatting.
And you like to see that. I mean, these, again, all these guys know each other so well at this point. Yep.
Got a nice
give each other 5 right as the go off.
Well, it was not a dirty play at all. He just
no, not in the least. No.
He was trying to get around. It's a tough angle to shoot there.
Casey was way laid out too when he made a hell of an effort, and I think Ben respected that. But
I'm surprised too that after taking a hip to his shoulder like that, he still got the D. Still kept going. I feel like if I ran into Benyat, I'd just fall over. Wow, big pull by Marquez.
Oh.
He's backing Trey all the way to the middle of the end zone. 5 seconds left. They got to put it up in the end zone. Pollard versus Brownlee in the end zone.
And that was Greg Martin.
Oh, yes! Pollard with the grab!
Pollard.
Over everyone.
Nice play. We got to give Greg Martin the assist and a beautifully placed throw for James Pollard's first. I think that is his first stat of the day.
Yeah, that was over
and
Marquez,
what a time to make it.
The big deep.
What a time to make it.
From
14-13.
The big deep receiver from this year.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to halftime with the score 14-13, the Empire over the Phoenix. And we will be back with you in about 15 minutes or so for the start of the third quarter here at Plymouth White Marsh High School on a beautiful Sunday afternoon, July 15th. We thank you for joining us. Again, the score 14-13, the Empire, who are playing like it means something, which is nice to see. And we'll see you in a few minutes at the start of the third. Thanks a lot. Get the D on that, despite the fact that he didn't have to do anything but catch it. And Nick Patel has put something up a little too high for Bryce Dunn. But thankfully, Nick DeGiorgio is there to bail him out with the scoop off the turf. Martin holding the disc with his back to us, to Patel. Still on this sideline. A nice shot up to DeGiorgio. And back to Nick.
Here we go.
Who gets the goal from DeGiorgio for the first score for the Phoenix, which is a break right out of the gate.
Yeah, great break.
Terrific break.
Really, the defense on the mark was really what forced that turn there and let Esser just run up underneath and catch it. And then great patience with that D-line to play such patient offense and get the upline cut there. That was a nice little toss.
I think Trey kind of is anticipating that. He had a couple of handlers in there to run the offense when they turned it over. To travel some high floaty thing that Scotty Zhu gets in front of. Scotty, with his quickness, took that away.
That was to the break side. That was an incredible play by Scotty to get there.
That really was. What a nice play.
Here to Smola. Nice break action by Esser there.
Look at Greg Martin over there. Scotty's second D of the game.
Get rewarded.
Ooh. And Matt Esser from Greg Martin.
I believe so.
It sure looked at that's who had the disc when Matt does his upside down, hanging onto the goalpost in celebration. Make that third spot, in each division available.
Wow.
Oh, a little give and
Quick
go.
hands.
You love to see that. Nick DeGiorgio with the D. Don't do that give and go thing out here.
He's going to get rewarded with an opportunity for the score.
Pros.
Not quite enough.
DeGiorgio ropes it in at the 3. Who threw that to him?
That was Zhu.
Scotty.
Zhu.
And
there
Matt
we go.
Esser
Reward
says,
him.
Let's give him the goal.
Reward him. Nice bookends.
Matt Esser with the assist. Nick DeGiorgio with the goal. And make that third spot, in each division available.
Wow.
Oh, a little give and
Quick
go.
hands.
You love to see that. Nick DeGiorgio with the D. Don't do that give and go thing out here.
He's going to get rewarded with an opportunity for the score.
Pros.
Not quite enough.
DeGiorgio ropes it in at the 3. Who threw that to him?
That was Zhu.
Scotty.
Zhu.
And
there
Matt
we go.
Esser
Reward
says,
him.
Let's give him the goal.
Reward him. Nice bookends.
Matt Esser with the assist. Nick DeGiorgio with the goal. And likes you out in it. But later for that. So you let us know when, Pat. We're good, ready to go? And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the third quarter of the final game of the season. Oh, look, here comes George Harris bearing gifts, the man with cold water. What a mensch he is.
Sorry.
I surprised Len Evans by tossing him one he wasn't ready for.
Greg Martin with the pull down to New York.
And in the end zone, number 4, Matthew Auletta catches it. Swings to Harper Garvey in the center of the field. Back to Auletta. And up here to Katz again.
Oh, they got him.
Big backhand, Ben Yacht out in front of Greg Martin, who is looking at the disc this time. Cannot quite get there.
Just a smidge
Ben Yacht across to the truck. Mr. Jeff Babbitt, that's what, the 5th time we've seen that combination? 4th or 5th? Anyway
4th time.
Yeah.
5 goals for Babbitt, 6 assists for...
Holy Monroney, ladies and gentlemen. There it went again. Ben Yacht, Jeff Babbitt.
4th time they've done that in the game.
Not shocking. Not surprising.
No, not at all. Man, you got to say something. He's quiet on the stat sheet, but Harper Garvey's been one of the mainstays for this New York squad for at least a couple years now, and he's having that steadying presence in the backfield.
Well, it was funny in Colorado. We were hanging out at oldest son Ruben's apartment, and I was teasing Harper about a couple of turns he made, and believe me, there were not many, but as it happened, they happened to be downwind flicks that were kind of line drives, which he wanted to get up in the air but just couldn't or didn't in those instances. And as I teased him, my son chided me that I was busting one of the assist leaders in not only club but pro ultimate. And I reminded him that, yes, but they were talking to a guy who had played ultimate longer than either of them had been alive, as Ethan Fortin goes deep to Himalaya Meta, who cannot get there, and Ethan has to get that turn.
Yeah, Meta was starting to break off his cut once Ethan threw it.
But, yeah, I had a little fun with that. And Harper chuckled and said, Ike, I think he has you there. But, yeah, Garvey is he's one of these guys. It does not hurt your team to have him touch the disc every other throw. He's that good. And he is not like some other big stars are a turnover machine. So, these were turnovers that occurred in a game they won by 5. So it wasn't like there was anything else going on there. And that's a drop straight up by Roosevelt Ward. So we'll give him the turn on that as Trey and Ethan Fortin play a little catch in the backfield and up to Dustin Damiano. We had a 1-point game at half that is now 2. Sean Mott on the far sideline. The Phoenix really taking their home record this year to heart, having only lost to Toronto. They would like to keep that intact. They've won or tied everything since. Ooh, a big scoober over the top by Sean Mott back to Arcata and back to Mott, back to Arcata again. Back to Mott. They're playing a little catch out there while they figure out who's open. Ethan Fortin on the wing. I think Mott and Arcata are going to get this done one way or the other. Oh, we have a stall. I'm sorry, that's a fast one. I think that's a fast one.
That's fast, but that's pretty unsportsmanlike by Bo. He got right in Mott's face and clapped at him, and then after the stall call, he's just dancing in his face.
Bo's not playing. Was that?
No. That's Bo who's on the sideline.
Oh, on the sideline doing that. Oh, shoot. Yeah, that's not really cool.
Yeah, that's not the sort of thing I'd like to see.
Oh. And just missing that is Sean Mott, and then the Empire overthrow their receivers. So, karma, coming back.
I wonder if Bo's still dancing on the sideline after that.
Yeah, maybe Sean will run over and clap in his face now. Mike Arcata bringing it up to the goal line. with Norito guarding him. Oh, and it's blocked.
Good throw it right.
Blocked by Matthew Weintraub, who then pops it into Norito, who throws it back to 14. They do not get 2 goals for that.
No,
but
I'm going to say that's a goal for Nori.
Yeah.
From Weintraub. That was rough.
Yeah, I am dubious as to whether that was a stall. I'm not going to be certain because, of course, in review, which I have to say J.B. Harrington, head ref for the Phoenix, is pretty good about, along with snapshots of where the clock are, which we will not have for this game, of course. And there's never going to be any way to check that except to sorry. It's all right. Except to do the post-game count it yourself kind of deal. But yeah, it just seemed a little quick to me. And I know it's only 7, but as they like to joke, that's because most 10-count stalls are only 7 seconds anyway. And that falls to the ground at about the 3. Picked up there by number 3, Brandon Lamberty, who swings it to the middle to Nick Patel. Ooh, James Pollard with a big flick. And back to Pollard. Nice flick up front to Greg Martin. Pollard going deep. Somebody's going to find him in a minute. Matt Esser thinking about it, but no. And back up front here to Nick DiGregorio. Esser is going to go down for that one, and he gets it.
Let's go, Matt.
That's a nice play and a nice toss by Nick DiGregorio, even though it was a little out front of him. It was still pretty easily gettable. I think, that's one of those throws that Esser goes to the ground simply to make sure that he's going to catch that with 2 hands.
Yeah, he kind of slid on his butt there.
Caught it with 2 hands and rolled.
Yeah, instead of laying out full body. Man, Martin is getting fired up out there. Yeah, a lot of talking to people.
Yeah, that's good. It's fun to see them kind of take it to heart. And that is the first score in the second half for the Phoenix.
Now, Bo stopped dancing.
Yeah, we are right now at 16-14. Well, it's good that disc hit the ground before the player bobbled it. Jeff Babbitt here with Igor Smola in front of him. And I'm looking to see Igor do something with Jeff today, though. I know it's not easy. I think he may figure him out a little bit, but Babbitt is certainly open all over the place right now.
It's tough. I mean, normally with players like Babbitt, where
Ben Yacht going deep to Matt Stevens, who is out. There are a lot of people up here who saw a toe on the sideline, but Dan Spicer was on that sideline, and he's saying no. So that's Jeff Babbitt to Matt Stevens and another Empire score.
Questionable.
Was a little tough to see there, yeah. No replay. Oh, he wasn't. No, is somebody saying one of our cameramen is saying he's out. Toe was on the line.
That's rough.
Whole foot, yeah.
Yeah, let's send the film to New York. Let's have them make the call.
Yeah,
Where's the challenge flag, Trey? Where's the challenge flag? So it's tough. It's so difficult to guard Babbitt because in addition to him being so tall and you want to take that deep away, normally what you do with a deep receiver like that is you get into their body. You kind of make them have to push through you. But Babbitt's so big that
he'll just run you over.
Yeah, he'll just run right through you.
The Phoenix coming into the sun here with the wind from the far sideline, though it's a little lighter than it was to start. Damiano, Fortin, and Mott working the disc back as handlers for the Phoenix. Sean looks upfield but doesn't take it because he's not open. Damiano on this side. They're
chanting Brooklyn. I have no idea what Brooklyn is. I mean, I know it's a borough, but I don't understand the significance that it holds in the game.
No, defensive play. We have contact there on number 14, Joe Ouellette, Ellie's husband. And we have a clock stoppage by James Haggerty to discuss this and figure out what's going on. Discussion between Meta and Ouellette. And Haggerty leaving a spot there and then putting his hat on the ground and then going to talk with Dan Moraski and Brian on the other side, Brian Monk. And they're calling contact and moving it 10 yards up.
Well, they did. They did move it 10 yards.
They did move it 10 yards, right, so it's already there. They're just confirming the call. I guess there was some discussion. Greg Strauss with the disc on the far side, looking for someone to get it to. Trey Katzenbach.
Pick call. They'll back him up.
Pick. Oh, okay. I was going to say, I know that wasn't a stall. Trey Katzenbach with the disc just shy of midfield now. Sean Mott. Scuber back to Ethan Fortin. Little quick shot up to Sean Mott, who puts it too low.
Come on, Ethan. Yeah, Sean Mott.
Too low. Yeah, that's Sean's turnover. His second, which is, you know, it's not many for a guy who handles as much as he does. Mike Drost, and we have another call right away.
Timeout.
Oh, timeout Empire. First of the second half. So, we will see what they do here, what they change.
(17-14) New York. They pushed that lead. They went into halftime with 1 point lead. Now they pushed it a little bit.
Yeah, pushed it up to 3. They have a 3-1 edge this half. And the O-line is out there chatting. Matt Stevens, Babbitt, Garvey, Katz, Matthew Aletta, Benyat. And they're trying to figure out what they're going to do here. And the Phoenix with Pollard and Martin and DiGiorgio and Smola and Patel and Pollard and Casey Vaughn. We're looking to see another layout D from Casey, and Matt Esser, of course, stalwart on D. So Nick will be on Harper Garvey, and Vaughn is coming over to guard Matt Aletta. Big hammer to a wide open Matt Stevens. Nobody on him at all. And still nobody on him. I don't know where the mismatch is, why the poach. Going deep to Benyat. Yeah, he's on the goal line and just pops it to Matt Stevens for the goal. But
7 for Yacht.
Over Greg Martin, who is half a head shorter than he is, and I would not doubt a little frustrated at this point. .5:21 in the third, we are hearing. It's really great to have that bullhorn in Steve Leinert's hands. Not something I would ordinarily say. Sorry, Steve, couldn't resist that.
He might not need a bullhorn.
Yeah, he might not. That's true. No, nor would I, perhaps, in that instance. But it is great to have that so that we can. And we had a little chat at half. He's going to try and shout the timeout a little more often, and we're parking one of our earphones halfway off so we can hear what's going on all around. Disc is up, and that is a big boomerang fade that's going to settle down at about the 35. Very close to midfield. Nice field position for Ethan Fortin to pick up. Wide open Mike Arcata in the middle of the field. With Norito guarding him, but taking his time getting close. And we have Greg Strauss working to Dustin Damiano. He's got Brownlee on him. Oh, Mike takes his eyes off the disc and just flat drops that. And then
that was a flop.
Next, Norito to the ground.
That's Wang, Frank Wang.
Oh, Frank Wang,
yeah,
I'm sorry.
You got a little bit of a stiff arm by Mike.
Yes, but it wasn't that dramatic.
No.
Yeah, that was definitely a soccer flop right there. Mike Arcata with his third turn. And Frank Wang with the catch as he dives to catch it. He's stepping into – oh, we have a travel.
Travel call.
Travel on Frank Wang over there. So that's a 10-yard.
And that looked like way more than 10 yards because he was on the end zone line.
Yeah.
Maybe because he threw it and traveled, so they put him back a little bit more. I don't know.
No, I think he just went back a little too far, but it's hard to tell without a football field marking.
Definitely.
And here we have on this side Joe Ouellette. Back to Frank Wang. Ooh, too easy. 21-8. We have number Roosevelt Ward, 21, throwing into T.J. Stanton for the fifth goal of this half.
3:55
for the Empire.
3:55 is the time. I mean,
and the Phoenix have still only scored one this half.
Look, Philly is not clicking on offense. They're throwing it away. They're dropping it. They're not seeing the disc into their hands. That's the change. Trey's subbing on. Before we had Ma plus the D-line. Now it looks like we got Trey plus the D-line. Let's see if they can pick it up. And
well, it's funny because after hearing Ellie say that they started throwing their D-line in last night in D.C., here we have the Phoenix doing the same thing. If your O-line's not performing, you got to try something else. And that's 5-1 this half after a one-goal lead by the Empire. So at this point, we're 19-14. A little under 4 minutes left. The disc is up. And it looks like Brandon Lamberty letting it go to the ground. Trey Katzenbach. That's Matt Esser popping it deep. But now there are too many people down there, and the D gets it. Greg Martin can't hold on to it.
Martin's got to be.
It was a nice idea by Esser, but it had to be lower.
That's normally one that we've seen Greg Martin come down with. I mean, he's another jump through the roof kind of character.
Right, but the Empire player, and I did not see who it was. It might have been Dross, but he only needed to get a finger on it to screw that up, and that's what he did. Oh, that's a nice dig by the Empire, and then he throws a big floaty thing to Mike Dross that Trey's going to get close to, but not go up for. Dross is still outside the end zone. Easy flip into 14. Joe Ouellette. So Ouellette with the catch there.
So, they didn't convert there, but I like that a lot more than what Philly's been putting out this quarter.
Yeah.
They put it in the end zone. They gave the player a chance. It wasn't a drop. It wasn't a throwaway.
I'm seeing a few too many heads down on the way off to the sideline there.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I said earlier that if the Empire lost focus, it would be tough for them to regain it. But Philly, it's the same way. They might just start feeling like they're not really playing this for much, and that'll punish them. 2:57 left. That was a quick point.
Brian Monk is talking to the other refs about a play or something. They are having a little discussion at midfield, which is good. I mean, it means that something is going on they feel they need to talk about. You'd always rather see more communication than less.
Maybe they're saying to slow down some of these stall calls.
That could be. That could be. It's also nice to see a few Empire fans who have made it out here.
Great save by the keeper in that soccer game across the field. Just now. I don't know if the camera picked that up.
Yes, this, you know, this is one of these huge regional high schools, and their facilities. They've got tennis courts behind us in use. They have, you know, this is a beautiful turf field, but it's not even the primary one. They've got two better fields to the west of us, over to the right as you guys look at the fields.
I believe that was a Philly timeout there.
Yeah, not surprising. The Empire have already used one this half. So Philly taking another one for a mental reset now that it's 6-1 this half, making it, what do we got, 20-14. And we have the O-line back on, Trey with them. And let's see what happens. Himalaya Meta, Dustin Damiano, Greg Fortin, Trey Katzenbach, Mike Arcata, rather, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Matthew Oletta, Mike Arcata. Too many similar names here. Trey and Ethan Fortin playing catch over to Dustin Damiano. And Himalaya Meta with a nice cut up and then out. Sean Mott going deep, and that will be Sean Mott from Mike Arcata.
I thought Meta.
Meta, thank you.
Yeah.
Himalaya Meta with the assist.
Man.
Beautifully put. And again, an outside backhand. He got the wind just under the outside edge of that for Sean Mott's fourth goal, and only the second for the Phoenix this half.
There's a flick by
a flick,
by Meta,
thank you, yes. And let's see if he can. But again, the key thing with Meta was the attitude of the disc. He just used the wind enough to get it over the D and let Sean Mott go up and take it.
Yeah, and Mott got up so quick for that disc. I thought he was going to fall
over. Yeah, when he gets out front,
but
and then up top, right. Yeah, it looked a little like he was off balance, but he he seemed to adjust in midair to get to the disc.
Yeah, well, I think because he bounced off the turf so fast.
Yeah.
He had some extra time in the air to try to get his feet under him. He got up so quick. That was
fun to watch. And a little bit of a boomerang pull here by the Phoenix. Just going to settle straight down at the 25 or so, I want to say.
Hey, no big here.
Harper Garvey, Nick Patel in front of him trying to shut down the straight up field.
That's a good mark.
Forcing him to swing, it was. And he gets over to Alex Isick on the Empire. Back to Garvey, back to Yacht. And Yacht is looking at Ben Katz deep, but goes to Matt Stevens instead at midfield, who has Brandon Lamberty on him. And Garvey again with the disc right at midfield.
That's the one they're trying to take away. They're forcing middle.
To Yacht. Oh, I thought that was up front, but it was Babbitt cutting across. I thought that was headed to the goal line for a second. Yeah. Garvey back at midfield. Over to Matt Stevens again. And Matt to Garvey, easily into Ben Yacht. So we have Harper Garvey to Ben Yacht.
That's Garvey's first stat of the day somehow.
That's nuts.
Yeah,
how is that possible?
All that play that he's done.
You know, for as much as he touches the disc, that's amazing.
Yeah.
But it's also interesting because it just shows, you know, how integral he can be to a team without being a big guy on the stat line. I mean, he's still touching it 20% of the time on O almost. Maybe even more. He's just all over the place. And so, again, the Phoenix come back with their O-line intact.
Yeah. 21-14.
Yeah.
21-15.
21-15, right. So we're hoping for a little something more consistent.
Getting back scratched.
Yeah. It's, oh, boy. A little relief from my favorite Phoenix owner's wife. Oh, Damiano tempted, but up to Mott. Anything is wonderful. Thank you so much. Mike Arcata with the disc just shy of midfield. We got a little bit of a crowd here at midfield for the Phoenix. Greg Strauss back to Sean, who has taken his hat off. I think it's warm enough out there. They're all tired of sweating their butts off. And Ethan Fortin, as Alex likes to say. Sean Mott walking back already. He either saw the pick or knew what the call was before it happened. That's funny.
1 minute left.
In the third.
Oh, Mike Arcata cutting
is
deep.
deep, and he will get that. That's a nice shot by Ethan Fortin. Mike looks like he was coming back a little bit for that, but then followed it in and pulled it in. So Ethan's second goal only, which is also a little surprising. And Mike Arcata, who's been sort of a stat monster the past few weeks, with his fourth point and second goal of the day.
Yeah, this team is really interesting. A lot of interesting decisions for them to make going forward. They're going to get a bunch of those patrol players that couldn't commit are probably going to start coming to tryouts, and then they have all the guys that start off strong with them this year, but towards the end of the year couldn't make it because the club season starts. Guys like Ethan Peck, Scotty Zoo,
which is always interesting to me. I mean, you'd never see that in the real pros, of course, but the club scene is still very much valued by these players.
It's still, I think, more important overall.
Harper Garvey with a big loopy flick. It should get D'd up.
Yes.
And but it's caught by Matt Stevens.
Oh, no.
This is another instance where you mack the disc and you should catch it. And I hate to say it to Greg Martin, but I did not see who threw that. Was that Yacht or Babbitt who threw it?
Yacht received that from
no, I think 15 received it. Number 15 caught it. Alex Issick.
Oh, you're right. Issick caught that from Ben Katz.
Ben Katz, okay. And, Greg Martin finally made the play he wanted to make, but he swings at the disc, macks it, and an Empire player, Matt Stevens, was Johnny on the spot. He caught that and released it in less than a second.
I mean, that's Rob.
Because he knew where he wanted to go.
That's the emotional play is to hit the disc, but you're right. The heady play, the correct play, you got to catch it there, and he
got to play all the time. You got to play all the time.
But he smacked that. It's like what they used to say about Wilt Chamberlain. Not only did he block everything, but he always managed to block it back to his team. That's what.
Right.
It's the same thing. You catch that ball. You catch that ball, Greg's got a shot at the break.
Yeah. And if you catch it, you have a man break deep quickly enough, you can really make something happen. Greg Strauss with a heady stoppage of running so that he can get the pivot back. We have Himalaya Mehta, Mike Arcata now with the disc. He's inside midfield, Ethan Fortin. The countdown has begun. And that's a goal at 6 seconds left, perhaps 5. That
5
was
seconds left
from Ethan Fortin to Greg Strauss. 5 seconds left.
So he started off, they only have 1 point, but they brought it back. They've got
4 in this half, so we're making it respectable.
Well, a 5-point lead is manageable. You can chip away at that.
Sure.
You can put pressure on New York.
And we're 4 now, 17-21, right?
Yeah, let's see. They got their whole tall line out there now. So they have Smola, Martin, Pollard, and Strauss.
Right.
Basically, all their deep receivers except Arcata are out there. And the time will start at the throw.
That's a nice pull.
So we'll get 20 yards to Garvey.
Garvey puts it up deep with a flick under the arm. It's just amazing to watch Harper let that go. And again, that's Ben Yacht. Pollard, I don't think, touched that. But no, Yacht
Stevens.
Tipped it to Matt Stevens again. Stevens with another Matt catch.
Are you willing to give Yacht the assist there?
No, I can't do that. But Garvey, yeah, you got to give that to Garvey. And that's, again, Harper puts that beautiful outside flick up. And did you see how quickly he got that under the guy's arm? And this is the thing he could not do in that mile-high air in Denver. He puts it under the guy's arm with a little bit of a nose-up air bounce, and boom, it goes up 20 feet, fades left, and his first receiver can't get it, but he tips it, and there's Matt Stevens playing garbage again.
That was no accident either time for Matt Cat Stevens either. Like, he's not as big as Pollard or Brownlee or Yacht or any of those guys, but he's just standing in the spot where if they miss it, it's coming to him. And he did the same thing here. He's standing in a spot where if Greg Martin taps that disc, Cat Stevens is in position to make a play.
You know, Matt has such experience. That's just one of those instances where you have a guy who's always reading way ahead of his grade level. You know, he's just such a great reader of the disc, and
because he's not even reading the disc, he's reading the defense
too.
He's saying
he's reading all of it. He's reading the disc, he's reading the positioning of the other players, and he's going, if somebody hits this, I got to be back a little bit over here instead of right in that crowd. There's no point in running into that crowd, which a lot of guys who think they have a play on the disc would do. But he has the sense to know that those big guys are going to get there first. So let me just be, 4 or 5 yards outside the play to the downwind side. And if there's any tipped garbage, I'll be the first guy to get it. And he was all alone. He was all alone.
It was just him.
Right. Just take it and take the goal. Well, folks, that is the end of the third quarter. And we have the Empire up 22 now to, what is that, 17? 20. So it is 5 now.
I believe.
And we'll have the fourth quarter. Well, we were going to get a commercial in here, but it doesn't look like it.
23.
23, okay. I may not have been putting them all up. I have 14 and 8, so I have 22. Okay, so they have 9 this half.
Yeah. They scored 9. Just in that quarter, they scored 9.
In this quarter, right. Holy cats. That's a big quarter for them.
Yeah.
So now it is 6. And let's see if Trey can marshal the troops to bring it up a little bit.
So there's plenty of time left. I mean, the whole quarter, 6 points. They can definitely they're still in the game, but they need their offense to be consistent. Look, if they lose this game and they lose this game by 6, so they break even this quarter, that's a decent improvement over what they've been doing. So they just need their offense to possess the disc. If New York's going to D it, let New York D it, but don't give them anything for free.
Mott to Meta off the Katzenbach start to that sequence. Meta dumps, but we have contact.
Contact downfield there.
Uh-huh.
I think it could have been on Trey. But.
Frank Wang on Himalaya Meta, and Himalaya gets another look at this. Back to Trey. Over to Ethan Fortin, who is dumping it to Trey again. And Trey gets out of it. Oh, and it's, again, macked by the D player for the Empire. And Trey Katzenbach almost comes up with that. That's Joe Ouellette who pops it up in the air. And that's a perfect example of why you don't want to do that on D. It just shot 45 degrees up in the air, and who knows who can come down with it when that happens. Mike Drost here putting an easy flick out front.
Get there, Mike.
And yeah, Mike Arcata with a really nice D.
I mean, he had the angle there beautifully.
He did a closing turn. Ethan Fortin. Oh, Cat. I mean,
gotta lay out there.
Yeah, number 61, Matt Weintraub almost took that away.
If he lays out, that's a Callahan.
Yeah. Meta up to Damiano, just shy of midfield. Dustin with a big shot deep to Pastor.
Ooh, nice.
And he's got him just shy of the goal line. Brandon caught that at the last second, got out there, just does a little easy floaty flick in front. So Brandon Pastor, who was that who pulled that in? Was that Lamberty or?
I believe Strauss, right?
I looked like a one-digit number. Was it Damiano who pulled that in?
I guess it must have been Damiano based on.
Yeah, it has to be.
Man, that was a great cut by Damiano. That's not usually his.
No,
that's not usually his
Pastor to Damiano, and Brandon's first stat this game.
Man, that was a great D by Mike. He read that throw beautifully.
Boy.
And he checked the thrower, and he was like, okay, the thrower's going to throw here, and he turned on the jets before the throw went up.
Right.
So he saw it the whole way.
And there was a sort of a little incidental contact as they both stretched out for that, but really a clean play. James Pollard with a big pull. It's a little low and not quite as long as he wants. New York will take it at about the 10. Second throw to Garvey. First throw to Garvey, rather. So, and he's up to Matt Stevens, who's being marked nicely by Nick Nugent. Ben Katz in the middle with Casey Vaughn on him. Ben Yacht with a big flick that's going to curve back. Oh! And Nugent goes to swing at that instead of trying to catch it and misses.
Well,
I don't know if he was far enough to catch it.
He only got a finger on it.
Oh, did he?
So
Okay.
I think he extended for it.
So we have Ben Yacht to, was that Cat Stevens catching
Cat
that?
Stevens.
Yeah. Matt the Cat.
Man, and he now has 5 goals.
I'll be damned.
Cat Stevens.
It's a good game.
I mean, Yacht has 8 assists, but that's let him do that.
Yeah, Yacht is being huge for them this game. Not that he isn't often, but and with a guy of his height, you know, he's somebody you expect as often to see downfield.
Well, he has a little bit of a – so Harper Garvey got that quick throw-off going into half because he moves so quickly. He pivots so fast.
Yeah.
Yacht has good feet, but he gets those throws off because he's just so long. You know, how are you supposed to mark the whole –
you got to be Kareem to drop him.
Yeah, what are you going to take away?
Ethan Fortin here to Damiano in the middle. Oh, and Sean Mott just pulls that in front of Roosevelt Ward.
They thought about throwing to Trey, but –
oh, and it's tipped and taken wide away by Frank Wang, who then is faked out by his own man and turfs it. Roosevelt Ward juked and then went upfield. And I'm not going to give that to either of them because that's just a miscomm. I mean, Frank made a nice throw, just was the guy wasn't there. Sean Mott up to Himalaya Meta from Ethan Fortin and then over to Greg Strauss. And he push pass back to Ethan Fortin over the top. A dangerous thing in high-level ultimate, but when it's wide open and you're only shot a tall guy over the D, it's not so bad. Oh!
Wow!
Nice pickup by Ethan Fortin.
What a grab.
Lay out fingernails under it. Woof. That was a really good one. Greg Strauss on the goal, well, at the 5, and he turfs it.
I mean,
Greg Strauss has a funny little thing that he does occasionally. I don't know if the guy tipped the back end of the disc, but if he didn't, then
I got a finger on it. He got a finger on it as it came out.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a push pass that died.
No, it was a little baby flick, but it seems to go into the turf once in a while.
Well, the defender managed to get their hand on it.
Len Evans confirming as he watched the camera that it was tapped. It just got tipped there.
Ooh, Mike.
Josie Aloro, with a big outside flick, going deep, and there again, even Sean Mott is macking the disc. Catch that disc!
Man, Bailey.
There's a guy, I just can't take that from one of my old Pennsburg boys. He has no reason to mac that. He's going to handle it anyway. Catch it and turn around. Mike Arcata dumping back to Sean Mott, who just scoops it up.
There.
Ethan Fortin.
They're going to let Trey run around this and be this open. Someone's got to put it to him.
Yeah. Oh, and look at who that is. Marquez Brownlee with the layout interception. You notice he did not mac the disc. He caught it, and he jumped up and threw it. And Sean Mott trying to get back in time, but cannot. So we have the hammer
Brownlee
from Brownlee to 21, lead. Roosevelt Ward.
7 minutes, 21 seconds left.
7:21 in the game.
I mean, that point, there were 3 discs that got D'd at the handler, right? The handlers either threw it directly into a player, a foot in front of them, or it was a good step out, and they got the mac. And then that one there, Brownlee attack the disc.
Yes, he did. He got Ho and laid out and took it in.
Yeah, I mean it wasn't Strauss's fault. Strauss was standing still, but you got to see that if you're
you got to anticipate a guy with that length can make a play. So either block him out with your body or keep moving towards the disc. Yes, the catch is going to be tougher if you're moving towards a moving disc, especially if it's ripping. But the worst thing as an offensive player, one of the worst feelings in the world is having a D player zoom by you at the last nano and take the disc away before you can touch it, especially if you're standing still. You'll hear a cry in Ultimate, go to, go to, go to, and it's always directed at the receiver to come back to the thrower and go to the disc so that doesn't happen.
Oh, man. Greg Martin's got to be frustrated after that cut. They got their D-line out there.
James Pollard on the near sideline, scooting it over to Nick Patel, back to Matt Esser in the middle. Matt with a little backhand back to Nick. Nick with a nice flick fake, a little low throw that Brandon Lamberty picks up. Brandon fakes the backhand and then throws it to Greg Martin.
A little theatrical with the one hand.
Yeah, that's all right. It worked. Got the D-man out of position. James Pollard, whose flick is looking really good lately. Matt Esser cross field.
Wow.
The D gives up, and Greg Martin takes it easily.
Greg Martin.
So we have Esser to Greg Martin for his third goal, and Matt Esser's third assist.
So the D-line, when they play offense, they play, I would say, like a more traditional ultimate Frisbee offense that we're all used to seeing. They're getting their cuts and throws are 15, 20 yards each time. They're getting 15, 20 yards. It might be across the field, but it's 15, 20 yards. The Philly offense is, 10 yards, 5 yards, 10 yards, dink and dunk here and there, which when it's working, it's effective. But here, you saw the New York players couldn't really get those hand blocks that they had against the O-line because they're stepping out, they're throwing these long throws. There's not as much room there, or there's too much room actually for the New York players to get in on those little.
When you have larger, longer throws, you can create better positions out of that and better flow, better spacing. Ultimate players are always looking for spacing. They don't want to throw to a crowd. And Harper Garvey with that quick release. Underarm flick. It's right out front. It's just perfect. Right in front of the line. Ben Katz just looking for somebody to get it to. And he does. Right across to Spielman, who genuflects and tosses it back to Ben Katz. 15. Isick.
The goal there from Katz.
Yeah, that was.
Man, what a throw by
Harper Garvey. Just perfect.
Yeah, you saw Casey Vaughn had to work so hard to just catch up to the cutter there, and the way Garvey threw that, it curved back into him. So
right, and that's his flick, and of course it's by design. But that again, it's that nice round outside, and this is the kind of stuff that was so difficult to do in Denver. When you're in thin air, things just do not float the way they do on this fat, moist sea level air here in
but some of the
Philadelphia suburbs.
Some of the teams figure that out, right? I mean, Temper.
Well, and of course, who won the tournament? Johnny Bravo.
That's true.
The home team.
But Temper made it all the way to the
Temper got to finals.
Yeah, that's Pittsburgh.
And we have to say that as we watched some of Isaac's old College Nationals championship teammates out there, it was really great to see
Colorado.
In Colorado, to see DiGirolamo for Pittsburgh Temper. And there is a very rare drop by Himalaya Mehta.
Just right off his hands.
Right off his hands. And
that got cooked in there.
That was not Greg Martin's fault. It was just a little bit of a ripper to be so close.
Ethan Foyne do that to Mehta.
Oh, Ethan did?
Ethan threw that to Mehta, yeah.
Oh, right. Ethan did, okay. Brownlee stretching out from Joe Boulette through that, maybe, 14?
I believe so.
But, yeah, it was, it's just not that easy to hang stuff on thin air. But Garvey's throws, the flick he gets off so quickly is really beautiful because it has that shoot up and then a nice outside bank that comes back home for you.
Ugh. That is rough to watch. That comes from I mean, you get hand blocked enough times and you have people step in front of the disc, and then, you know, you start second-guessing yourself. You start trying to shoot it in there with a little more force so that the D can't get in front of it, and that makes it harder for the offense to play.
Yes, it does.
The kids just got to relax.
It does. Dustin Damiano to Ethan Fortin to Nick Patel.
Oh, man.
Phoenix just looking to get some decent work here done in the last quarter. Sean Mott on the far sideline. Gently up to Brandon Pastor. Thank you, Doctor. Ooh, barely got that one around. Trey back over to Nick DeGiorgio, who puts it in the end zone to Brandon Pastor, it looks like. That was Brandon's first goal and Nick DeGiorgio's third assist.
I'm glad Pastor got the goal there because he was really the person that saved that point for Philly.
That's true.
He was just about every other after they crossed the half.
It is always nice to see that karma work out, you know.
Yeah, and he has been a really solid player this game. He's made a lot of cuts, played a lot of defense that I think this New York team is huge, and Brandon is.
They are. I mean, and imagine, you know, Bo is on the sideline, Kittredge, you know, who is no small cat himself.
No. Unlike Cat Stevens, who's a smaller cat.
Right. And even Cat's not small. I mean, he's got to be 5'10", 11.
No.
But, you know.
But for when you're looking at New York.
Yeah. he's just average compared to the rest of that line. But, you know, I mean, Matthew obviously having a hell of a game. And he goes by the disc here. Aletta takes it instead. Ooh, and that's actually a nice cut there. It looked like Jeff Babbitt actually had to run a little bit. And we got, Harper Garvey. Again, the outside flick. Wow. You saw that step out, folks, and that was a beautiful around flick. He just had the right attitude. Didn't do the air bounce that time because he didn't need it to go that far.
Just so much wrist, too. He stuck his arm out there. And look at the flick of the wrist.
He gets a lot done with very little energy. Yeah. Must have been a pick or something downfield because New York walking it back.
Esser got picked there.
And Garvey coming back for the dump swing. And a backhand. Look at that. Harper Garvey with a backhand to Ben Katz. Ooh. And Ben takes – was that over Arletta or Arcata, rather? So that was Harper Garvey. One-digit number. I can't see from here, but
that's Lamberty.
Lamberty. That you know, that's a great effort. But Ben Katz, you know, again, the beneficiary of a beautiful Harper Garvey throw. Even though for these guys, it must have been odd to have it spinning the other way, being that it was a backhand, you know.
After all those flicks.
Yeah, because Harper is just like 95% flicks, but he didn't see it there, so let's pivot and just do the backhand.
Yeah, it's until you get to the very elite levels of Ultimate, you know, the top clubs or the pro scene, just about everybody forces flick. So I feel like some of these great players.
You want to force backhand because their flicks are so lethal.
Well, because that's what you know, when they were figuring out how to play Ultimate, they just only had to throw flicks in high school. That's what everyone does.
Sure. I think it's one of the advantage the children of Ultimate players have is that they learn flicks before they're out of diapers mostly. And, you know, that's just a huge – I mean, I didn't learn a flick till I was in college.
Wow, great touch.
Nice little – yeah, that was really pretty by Brandon Pastor. We have Arcata on the goal line looking right. Don't get too zoomed in, Mike. He does, and he gets it anyway. Very nicely done. Was that Greg Martin or –
No,
Brandon Lamberty.
Damiano.
Oh, Damiano.
With the grab there, yeah.
Thank you. Arcata, you know, I'm so glad that Alex has his binoculars out. I have mine here, but I haven't pulled them out of the case. So we have Damiano with the goal and Arcata with the assist.
It's tough to remember to pivot and throw fakes, but Arcata threw that.
It's so important.
Arcata locked in, so you knew he was going to throw it to. He threw that fake backhand. He was double teamed, so both defenders went on it, and that made it really easy for him to put the scoop over the top.
Yeah, when they both buy what you're selling, you have a much easier shot on the other side.
Yeah, and that was, again, we've seen some teams double team really intelligently. I think Toronto and Montreal both double teamed in a way where if the disc did get thrown, it didn't hurt them.
Right.
New York's double teams have seemed to come from players that probably should not be double teaming. So there was Damiano's guy that was on the mark. So all Damiano needed to do was run forward and at him. And then we had to play over here where they were in the end zone. They double teamed it. I would probably find a different person maybe than the primary cutters.
Auletta to, you guessed it, Harper Garvey with Nick Patel on him. Now, Nick is a guy who might, because if he's a little smaller and lower to the ground, give Harper a little more trouble with those releases. Oof. Ben Yacht, it's so nice to have him in the middle down there. Snaking it in front of Pollard. And guess who he threw it to? Huh?
Babbitt. Who'd have thought?
Who'd have thought?
9 assists for Ben Yacht.
Wow.
Yacht has more assists.
Jeff Babbitt, how many goals does Babbitt have?
Babbitt has 6. He just took back the lead from Cat Stevens.
Yeah, and I think 5 of them are from Ben Yacht, aren't they? I mean, 5 of his 6. It must be
at least 5 of his
maybe
6.
all of them.
I think he has one
from someone else.
Yeah,
I can't even remember who, but that combination has just killed the Phoenix team.
Yeah, I mean, with 9 points, Yacht has more assists than Philly has second half points, and Yacht murdered Philly when they went to New York too. They started putting him on D-line. That was part of what sparked their comeback. And then that first time that they played New York, it was a bloodbath. But he also packed the stats in there.
Yeah,
He really. If he comes back, Philly's got to find a different way to defend him next year.
Yeah, I should say.
Oh, man, look at all this room Philly's playing with now compared to some of their previous points.
Oh, and just tipping the disc was number 8, TJ Stanton there.
Yeah, Meta caught a toe on the turf.
Oh, bummer.
For him to
Joe
recover.
Willette in the middle. Willette over to Nori. Nori Toe in the middle there to Frank Wang. And Frank with an outside flick that's caught easily by Joe Willette. So Frank Lang to Willette on that one. 2:35 left. Thank you, Stevie Leinert.
Man, 17 second-half points. That's not going to cut it. It's going to be tough to overcome 17 second-half points.
It's amazing.
Yeah, we've had whole games where neither teams put up 17. He did it in a half. They're really pouring it on. I mean, so this is it for Philly. This is their last game as a team this year. They didn't make playoffs. I want to see them do something special, do something wild. Have Nick Patel cut deep and have Esser throw it to him, or Pollard. Do the opposite of what New York will expect.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that Trey did not want this to be the way they ended their season. And on the flip side, you gotta give props to New York for not sitting all these guys.
No, New York played hard.
They've come out and played like it meant something.
They definitely did. I mean, I think that
maybe they're trying to send a little message late in the season here for next year too.
Yeah, well, it's also tough it's got to be difficult for them to lose to DC, and then if they came out flat against Philly going into playoffs, would be mentally very difficult.
Right.
Now they have this
true.
Now they have a big boon, a big win to carry their momentum into playoffs.
Lamberty and nice. Lamberty and Brandon Pastor working it a little bit there. Nick Patel coming back to help out. James Pollard on 0-2 here. 45. Di Gregorio. DiGiorgio is Greg Martin. So a different looking O-line here. James looking for that flick, just goes to DiGiorgio
good cut,
instead of
Pollard.
upfield too much.
DiGiorgio sees him too late. There's a great upline cut by Pollard.
Matt Esser with a big hammer into a crowd.
Oh.
Greg Martin looking for a call.
Man.
Looking for a call. Upset he didn't get it.
I mean, when you throw that, I don't know if the ref even should call it there.
Yeah, it's kind of, as we like to say, the old hospital pull, because you've got a crowd underneath it and anything can happen. Mike Drost on the far side with Nick Patel guarding him from Jose Loro. And Joe Ouellette with a big backhand that's going to hit the turf.
Greg wanted him to throw that, too. He was milking it.
He was okay.
I don't know if there was anywhere that throw could have gone where Greg didn't have a play on it, unless it was
Nick Patel with a big backhand to James Pollard, who should rope this in over his defender.
Just out of the end zone.
And he does.
Wow.
Not in the end zone, but there he is.
That's contact.
That was
Whacked
nice,
him.
too. That was a nice play for James. James Pollard's first assist of the game. He's been waiting on that one. To number 3, Brandon Lamberty for his first goal.
Minute 02 left. New York absolutely does not need to score.
No, I mean they're up. 28 to? I'm just counting hash marks here. 28 to 13 and 8 to 21. 28 to 21? No, 14.
25,
14
26,
and
27,
14.
29, 30, 31. 31.
31. Oh, they have that many? I'm not putting my hash marks up top for the Empire then.
Well, they have 17.
17 in this half. That's
and they had 14
unbelievable.
that first half.
That's really unbelievable.
I mean, this is their starting O-line.
Yeah.
So I guess they're just possessing it.
Yep.
Even if they're just possessing it, it's.
And who gets the disc second? Harper Garvey on the far side,
nice
faking hammer.
by Smola.
And Harper, again, he's one of these guys who just has to pretend to throw badly.
Wow. Stall called.
No way.
Oh, how the
Really?
turntables have. I guess because he got that immediate throw. He was there for a while. We didn't look at it, but that seemed awful quick.
Yeah, it did seem a little quick. But these we're going to have to time ourselves because there is no clock that you can see.
The turntables.
And Igor Smola on the far side. Oh, and he throws behind.
That's Messina there, just too low for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Martin's hatless today.
We got to give Igor that turn, unfortunately.
Ooh,
But
Mike Arcata out on defense.
Yeah. Marcus Brownlee handling.
Oh, get up and throw! Get up and throw!
That's it. Nice defensive effort at the end there. But that is the end of the game, ladies and gentlemen. So we have 31 right on the Empire side and 21. 31-21. 10 points.
Well,
not the way the Phoenix had hoped to end this game. But on the other hand, they got to be happy, too, that New York gave them the best game they could.
yeah.
You know, you never like to have somebody dog it on you. And
I mean, for Philly there, they played really well until that third quarter. You know, that third quarter was a big difference.
The third quarter killed them.
Yeah.
They had one goal, for 8 minutes of that quarter. I mean, they just didn't get it done there. But a game that is done before we need the lights.
What a season.
And, yeah, you have to say a terrific season for the Phoenix. A good one for the Empire. They're in the playoffs as they expected and hoped to be. But the Phoenix made big strides this year, and not the least of which was beating Montreal every game they played them. And, in so doing, of course, they actually helped the Empire get into the playoffs. But that was incidental to doing what they needed to do. And you have a lot of nice handshakes going on for the ref squad there. This is the final game of the season for both teams. Some big hugs between a bunch of these guys who play with each other in other settings. James Haggerty, who is a New York ref, getting some love from the Empire players. It's just nice to see the whole collegial atmosphere that ends the game. And the Phoenix coming by to get fives from their fans, which we love to see. This is the spirit of Ultimate that you really enjoy.
You got one last sign-off?
Nice work there, Philadelphia. Great season, fellas. The Phoenix making the rounds. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to leave it at that. I guess we're not showing this anymore. The cameras are off. That's too bad. It'd be fun for you to see.
It's a podcast now.
Yeah. It is a podcast now. There you go. So the Empire coming through as well, getting high fives from all the fans here. there are Empire fans, and nobody is going for only their team. Everybody's giving high fives all around. It's just great to see. A lot of smiles, very collegial atmosphere at the end of the game. And big props to the Empire who came here and played for real, even with a 3-hour delay. The Phoenix actually going out onto the grass into the crowd over there and getting high fives from a lot of their fans.
Hey, I mean, they turned up, you know.
They did. People got the memo and they showed. So
yeah, they showed for a pretty fun game.
From the dust we rise, as they like to say here in Philadelphia, with huge thanks to 302 Sports, to Nick Halliday, Pat Gariantes, Len Evans, to our ref crew out here, the two Dans, Spicer and Maraski, to acting head ref Dan Maraski today, and, of course, to Brian Monk and Steve Leinert on the far side with the Bullhorn and James Haggerty, who came down from New York to help out today, and, of course, head coach Trey Katzenbach, who did a terrific job this year. To my partner here, Alex Schregas, thank you, pal. Great work. I think you'll do okay up here.
Thank you, Bailey. Thank you for all the great work you did this season, too. I don't know.
Pleasure.
With all the thank yous that you hand out, I don't know if you ever got enough yourself.
No, I do, and I appreciate it. Never turn one away. No, I get a lot of love from the ownership around here, and I'm very happy to be working for this outfit and all these players and people we have working here. So to you fans, we thank you all for listening, for tuning in, for showing up. We hope to see more of you next year back at our famed AA Garthwaite Fields. And for 302 Sports, for the Philadelphia Phoenix, for George Harris and Carol and everybody associated with this team, thanks again, and we'll see you in 2019. So long, everybody.